I used to lay down on my bed, and the first thought that would come up in my mind was get my phone and start scrolling. The single thought that would come up in my mind every single time I was not doing anything was instantly pick up my phone. I'd usually have it in my pocket, but it turns out that's not very healthy for you, and especially for your balls. And I might go into a separate topic sometime, but I used to have my phone in my pocket, and every single time I'd be anywhere, even at home, in any sort of environment, and I felt bored, I'd pick up my phone and I'd just start scrolling. I'd pick up my phone and just start scrolling for social media. Even if I had nothing to see, even if most of the time there was nothing interesting for me to look at, I didn't feel interested in looking at anything. I didn't feel as if I wanted to know anything, if I wanted to even feel some sort of stimulation. And yet my muscle memory would just kick in, and I'd pick up my phone and I'd just start looking around. There have been so many times where I would just be using my phone, just looking through the app menus in the phone itself, just looking for that and just doing that, just fidgeting with it. And I think to myself, why am I doing it? And I never knew why. For a long time, I could not understand why I was always trying to fill up my time. All my spare time, all the time in which I could have just taken a second to breathe. I was spending all of that time doing something. I just could not stand the idea of just being alone with my thoughts for more than several minutes. I used to be the one kid who played 6 hours a day on video games. I have more than 7,000 hours in video games, and I believe would amount to more than 10 months of continuous playtime. 10 months of my life just taken away on video games. I used to play video games 6 hours a day, almost every day. Just because, and I've come to this conclusion that it was because I just could not stand being alone with my own thoughts. I could not stand being alone with the own beliefs and opinions that I have inside my brain. I would continuously try to escape all of those thoughts and authentic desires and beliefs and any kind of thought that would form in my mind by chasing mindless stimulation, by watching porn, by watching Netflix, by looking at movies, by watching shows, by watching YouTube, going on social media, by trying to play video games all the time, even though sometimes they were fucking boring and my eyes would hurt like shit. My head would hurt and I feel no desire to play, and yet I keep playing because I knew that if I would stop playing, I'd be alone with my thoughts. I knew that if I would stop playing, my mind would start thinking again. I'd have to deal with the fucking beliefs and the things that my mind has to say about me, which I had been ignoring for years of my life, continuously. Self-awareness is a habit that you can build, and yet it is something that can go away very easily, especially for all of these mindless stimulations, which all of us are being subjected to on a daily basis, more or less. Maybe you've been lucky enough to actually take video games away from your life, to take social media, to take all of these fucking retarded, mindless stimulations, distractions away from you. Well, in that case, maybe you're doing better than most people out there. And yet you just cannot help but remember just all the times we just pick up your phone and just start scrolling like that. And maybe you even do it right now. Maybe you just sit on your couch one day, you just sit down for 1 second. And the first thought that comes to mind is just, okay, I'm going to pick up my phone. I'm just going to open it and then, wait, why did I open my phone? You're looking for it and you're trying to find something, but you don't have any social medias on your phone. You don't have any video games on your phone. And you're just looking at it, you're like, why did I open my phone? And then you realize just how little control you seem to have over your own fucking brain. We are all so helpless. We all feel so helpless in this situation, don't we? when we just pick up our phones and we just go on our computers and we just simply start fidgeting with things around us? How many times has it happened where you're just in a boring environment and the first thing that you do is you start fucking fidgeting with something? You start fidgeting with your shirt, you start just scratching yourself, you start doing this. It's because we seek stimulations of any kind. Even you scratching your fucking back like this, it's a fucking stimulation. It's you trying to distract yourself from something, because you feel something when you scratch your back. Especially when there's something itchy on there and you do it. It feels nice. And so that's a distraction. And yet all of us, we seem to chase all of these distractions at all times. Especially when we are on our own and we have very good conditions to simply spend time and think. We have the perfect conditions. It's silent. We don't have any extra responsibilities on our heads right now. We have some time to just simply sit and think. And yet we don't do it. And yet we'd rather just continuously fidget with something. We'd rather always do something. You might think, oh, well, because we're active human beings and we have a lot of energy. No. All of us are human beings. All of us have energy. But there's people out there who have such a fucking strong control over what's going on in their fucking brains that for them, hours spent in solitude just thinking are amazing. They are part of their everyday practices, which make them wise, which make them strong, which make them powerful men and women. And yet most of us in this modern world, and mostly all of these countries which have all this crazy technology and stimulation and all these kinds of crazy over-chemicalized foods, oversaturated, fucked up foods. What we do is we constantly seek pleasure. We constantly seek mind stimulation. Because we cannot stand being alone with our own thoughts. Because we cannot stand. It starts with you not being capable of being with your own thoughts. It starts with you not being capable to just accept what's going on in your mind because of some issue, because of some hardship that maybe you're going through. And because you keep avoiding the issue, and you keep adding lies into it, and you keep just trying to seek mindless stimulations at all times, guess what happens? The issue becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, up until the point where there's nothing left to fix. Your entire life is a mess, and you'd rather just run away from it. You'd rather just destroy all the self-awareness that you could have. You'd rather destroy everything that you've built ever since you were born. Your own entire personal character. You'd rather just throw that away in favor of just seeking some mindless stimulation so you can avoid your thoughts for like an extra 2 hours. But I'm telling you, man, as much as you'd like to avoid all your fucking thoughts and all your problems and all your hardships in your life, they will come back and bite you. They will come back and fucking punch you. They will come back and they will punch you in the back so bad that you won't be able to stand back up. That you will never be able to stand back up. I was lucky enough to actually realize what was going on in my life. I was lucky enough to understand the issues and the problems that I was going through in order to fix them. Before it was too late, before that punch in the back was strong enough. My punch in the back, it was pretty damn painful. But yet it did not just knock me to the ground and not let me get back up. There's people who get punched so hard in the back by faith, by fate, by destiny, whatever you want to call it, that they cannot get back up. That they've lived their entire lives such a lie so big that it seems seemingly impossible to get out of. And yet, even there's hope for those people. Maybe you're one of those people. Maybe you're going through a shit situation right now, which is entirely your fault. Entirely your own fucking fault because you avoided self-awareness. You avoided being aware of your own thoughts, of your own beliefs, of your own desires, of your own criticism. There's hope for you. I'm going to teach you exactly how you can harness this hope and how you can harness all those tools that I'll talk to you about in this video. So, self-awareness ends when we deliberately avoid boredom. That is a good way to realize when you genuinely just have little to no self-awareness. Right? For most people, this is simply you can look at your life, man. You can look at your life and just think, whenever I'm bored, do I always constantly try to seek some sort of distractions? Whenever I feel some sense of boredom, do I just always constantly try to fill it up with something else? Do I just start fidgeting with something? Do I just start trying to find my phone? Do I just start trying to open up the TV? Do I start trying to talk to people? Any kind of distractions. Do I just start eating some food, some leftover food from the kitchen? Whenever I feel any sense of boredom. If you do that, it means that you're not that self-aware. Even if you might think you are. This will surprise you, because it has definitely surprised me for a long time. Because for a long time I liked to believe that I was pretty self-aware. Up until the point where I started being very careful about what I was doing. I would observe myself on a day-to-day basis. I would observe my habits and my thoughts while doing something. And I realized just how much of the things that I do are simply out of my control, out of my rational control. It's because I'm not that self-aware yet. It's because I still sometimes end up fidgeting with things. I'm lucky enough to not feel as if I always need to constantly pick up my phone and scroll. I've destroyed that screen addiction a long time now. And yet, you will be constantly surprised to realize that self-awareness is something that you build through years. And I've started building it through 1.5 years, and yet I'm still not at the best point in my life, and you will realize that. But this is just like the gym. The first gains that you will make will be amazing. They will be visible. You will notice them very, very well. They'll be very clear, and you'll continuously make gains throughout the years, but yet those first few gains, they will be strong. And the same as with your self-awareness. When you are literally little to not self-aware, when you start building some sort of practices in your life which will bring you back some of that awareness, you will feel like a completely different person. At least that's what happened in my case, and this is what's happened in the lives of so many other people. We avoid boredom by pursuing distractions, simulations of any kind, right? You've realized this by my story again. We avoid this boredom by pursuing all kinds of stimulations and distractions, things which are instant pleasure, instant comfort, instant gratification. That's what we seek because it's easy, it's convenient, we don't have to work for it. It's just there. We can just take that one chocolate bar from the kitchen. We can just look at one more extra video of a girl shaking her ass on TikTok. We can play just 1 extra hour of video games. And we do that because we're not self-aware. By doing this, avoiding boredom, we avoid our true, authentic nature. By avoiding boredom itself, the idea of boredom, we avoid our true, authentic nature. We avoid who we truly are. Because boredom is an amazing tool that I will talk more about in this video, which will help you bring your authentic self to light. Maybe if authenticity is something that you're dealing with, I have some tools in this video which I believe will genuinely boost your authenticity level, the level to which you're authentic with yourself, with other people around you, and I'll show you exactly how you can be authentic with yourself and how you can keep raising that level up and up and up and up yourself without my help. Authentic desires and thoughts emerge in times of deep, silent thinking. In boredom, that is the deep, silent thinking part. This is that point where we have so many authentic desires which flood our minds that we just don't even know where to start. Maybe Or maybe it's the other way around. For a lot of people, including myself, I would have periods in which I tell myself, yeah, I'm just going to sit and think. I'm going to have a crazy revelation about life. And I'd sit and think, and nothing would come to mind. It would be as if I was not deliberately meditating. It felt as if I was undeliberately meditating. I felt as my mind was blank. And I would get pissed off and I'd be like, oh, why is not something happening? When this is what you need to understand, that is perfect. You need to keep doing this because your mind, that is your mind's way of saying that it's thinking of actual authentic thoughts. It's thinking of your true desires. It's because, you might feel this blank state of mind after, playing 6 hours of video games, just spending half an hour just on your bed staring at a wall. It's because you're not used to it. You're not used to it. But once you start spending more and more time, not avoiding boredom, but actually chasing boredom to some extent, you will realize that you'll actually start having more and more thoughts. You'll actually start having more and more authentic thoughts, and you'll be more in touch with your authentic self. And this is a beautiful thing. I have a study. There is a study out there. I don't have it myself. There's a study out there in which several hundred college students were participating, right? Several hundred college students. And they were given two options. One, you sit in silence in a boring room for 15 minutes and you've done the study. That's it. Perfect. You've passed. Or two, well, you can sit in that room, but by the way, you also have this electric button which gives you like a small electric shock, which is very unpleasant. And you can also press that. They were given those two things, and they were put in a room, hundreds of people. I need to fucking be very. I need to put great accent on that. Hundreds of people. They were put in a boring and uneventful room with a button which would let them get an electric shock, which was very, very unpleasant. Which previously they would say that they would pay money not to get shocked with that thing. And so they would sit there in that room, and the numbers that I saw are horrible. 67% of men and 25% of those women shocked themselves at least once in those 15 minutes. Instead of spending 15 minutes doing nothing in a room just thinking, 67% of those men, which is that is the majority of those men, and 25% of those women, which is a quarter, they prefer to just press on the button and get a fucking electric shock, which was very unpleasant. Which they literally stated that they would pay money not to feel. How fucked up is that? People would rather spend 6-7 minutes and they get an electric shock instead of just spending a full 15 minutes with their own thoughts. People cannot stand being alone with their thoughts for more than 15 minutes. I don't know, that's just mind-boggling to me, man. And yet I know that this is the truly reality that most of us live through. This is the true reality that the majority of us live through. We'd rather get electrically shocked than spend 15 minutes just thinking about things. How fucked up is that, man? We'd rather be doing something harmful instead of truly being honest with ourselves. And this can apply to a lot of things. Whenever you're trying to chase some instant gratification, whenever you're trying to play some video games and eat some junk food and watch TV, what are you doing? You're chasing harmful habits which lead to your downfall, to your brain's detrimental process of destroying itself. And yet you're doing those things even when you know they're bad just because you're bored. Just because you'd rather do something, anything. And surprisingly, those things are very convenient. They're very stimulating. And your brain is like, that's perfect. That's all I need. I'm not going to spend my time working instead of, thinking about my thoughts. I'm not going to spend my time working on something meaningful because I don't know what that is, because I haven't spent time with my thoughts analyzing the things that are truly meaningful to me. So that's why you'd rather destroy and harm your brain and harm your life and harm the people around you and yourself by playing video games, by watching porn, by eating junk food, by wasting your life away. Authentic thoughts and desires can be painful, yet they are what will make you fulfilled and happy with yourself in the end. Your authentic thoughts and your beliefs can be very fucking painful. And I'm speaking from experience. There is a big pain that is associated with realizing that something that you, for maybe the majority of your life, the entirety of your life, you believed was true, was right, was good, and you have your authentic thoughts prove it wrong for you. That's your entire world just crumbling down. That's your entire world's image of that thing crumbling down. This is what's happened to me in regards to physical health and mental health. I believe for the majority of my life that, you don't need to look in any certain way because you're just perfect the way that you are, and that everyone loves you, and that things will be perfect, and that life is amazing. That you don't need to put any effort into actually being healthy and to actually living a good life because, things will just figure themselves out. Don't worry about it. Same with mental health. Oh, I'm just gonna play some video games. I'm just gonna listen to all these fucking retarded people preach some stupid shit that doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna listen to their bullshit values, which are just fucking up my mind. Because, we should love everybody. We should be tolerant of everybody. I say fuck that. My authentic thoughts, my authentic desires and beliefs told me, fuck that shit. Fuck tolerating everybody. Fuck just loving and being kind and helpful to everybody. Fuck that shit. I simply don't believe that's true. And a lot of people are gonna attack me for this, maybe. I truly believe so, and I've gotten hate in real life from this. People hate not having their ideas proven right by everybody, not having their ideas be validated by everyone around them. When your values are not the same as everyone else's, that's when it's painful. And that's why being authentic is a painful process to go through, and yet in the end, it is the most liberating and beautiful thing you can go through. I've started going down this journey of authenticity myself, and I'm genuinely telling you from personal experience, it is one of the most liberating and beautiful and amazing processes that I have ever went through on my journey. And it is something that goes on for a lifetime. It is what makes you fulfilled in life. It is what makes you happy. That's it. Authenticity. Most people prefer to be self-sabotaged. They'd rather prefer to just sabotage themselves instead of actually truly improving their lives. You can relate this to the entire concept of self-improvement masturbation. All those people out there going about how self-improvement is ruining your life and how it's horrible and how just self-improvement and improving yourself is masturbation. It's because what they've done themselves, what they're seeing in their close friends who are also on self-improvement, they're all just masturbating. They're all mentally masturbating. They're all just doing random stupid things just for the sake of doing them. And then they think that, yeah, I'm improving myself, guys. They at some point they have like one period of authentic thoughts in which they realize that they've been masturbating, and then they just instantly tie that up to the entire self-improvement concept, to the entire concept of improving oneself. It's because they were genuinely just sabotaging themselves instead of actually truly improving themselves, because they don't understand the concept of true improvement. Because it is something that is painful. Again, it is something that means that you have to go through a lot of effort and a lot of pain. And people are not going to like that. People don't like pain. We always, as human beings, we always try to run away from pain. That's why we live in the comforts of today's world, especially in the West. This is why in the West right now, we have so many comforts and so many privileges. is because we as human beings, we fundamentally avoid pain. Although life is pain itself, this is what Buddha says, that life is pain itself. The entire concept of life is pain. Yet we keep trying to avoid that. We keep, as human beings, it is our human nature to avoid pain. And yet we can dim down, we can numb down that strong instinct of avoiding pain, and we can actually pursue pain. We can actually pursue some sort of physical and mental pain, which will bring us amazing growth and bring us amazing self-awareness. They will make you self-aware of who you truly are. And I have one actionable step for you here before I actually get into those things. I know it's quite late, it's like 26-minute mark, but I have an actionable step here for you. I want you to journal. I want you to pick out a piece of paper and a pen. And I have 2 questions for you. They're not huge. I just want you to journal them. I want you to think about them. If you're not going to pick out a piece of paper as you should, then at least just after hearing the questions, pause the video and think about those questions for a good, proper amount of time. All right? First question. How often do you simply think with no distractions? I'm going to repeat that. How often do you simply think with no distractions? The second question. When was the last time you thought of something uncomfortable or painful, or both? I'm going to repeat that again. When was the last time you thought of something uncomfortable or painful? By this point, I believe that you've already journaled about those things. You've already gone to some sort of conclusion about those answers. I want you to keep that in mind for a good long time. Because that's going to help you move on with your self-awareness journey. The first habit, the first concept, the first, whatever you want to call it, which will change you forever, and I mean forever, and which will bring self-awareness to you, is journaling. That's the first habit. Journaling brings one's true self closer to his body. One's true self is your spiritual self, your ideas, your mental aspects, your mental situation, everything that's going on in your brain. By journaling, you put that down on a piece of paper, you see it. You see the problem itself. You can read the problem. You can read the thought. You can read the opinion. You can read the belief, the desire that you have written down on that paper, and then you know that it's there because it came out from your mind. It didn't come out from somebody else's notebook. It didn't come out from the internet. It came from your own mind. It helps you understand the way that your mind works. It helps you build a structure to the way that your mind works. It helps you understand that structure. Because actually, I'm going to take that back. It doesn't help you build a structure. Maybe to some extent it does. And yet, all human beings, we have a way that our mind works. We all have ways that our minds are structured. And most of the time, always, they will be a bit different. We will all have different characteristics of seeing things and how we look at things. And so, journaling, it helps you. When you journal for 3-4 pages, as I do, almost every day, you tend to understand some things that are, some sentences that you usually say, some thoughts that you usually just write down without thinking, and you look at them and you think to yourself, well, I usually think about this, so it means that might be one of my interests. This is something that I believe is interesting to me, because I always talk about it, I always write about it. Maybe it's meaningful to me. Maybe whenever you write about some sort of something, you write a paragraph and you feel something different inside of you. And you realize, well, this is actually something that I think is really interesting, that I should look more into. It helps you understand what you like, what you don't like about yourself, and how you can fix the things that you don't like about yourself, and how you can improve and enhance the things that you like about yourself to an even greater extent. Journaling brings light to your true, authentic beliefs and desires through self-reflection. You know, you're not always just going to be writing things down continuously, 4 pages, and then just close the journal and you're done. No, the entire process might take up from anywhere from half an hour if you're really, if your head is really busy with thoughts, to an hour and a half if they're coming slow. Sometimes it takes me an hour to write everything down. Maybe sometimes it takes me 2 hours. It's because in this time, you're not just constantly writing things down. You're writing down a sentence, a paragraph, and then you spend the next 10 minutes just thinking. You spend the next 1 minute, 30 seconds thinking about that concept until the next idea comes to mind, and then you write that down as well, and you think about that as well, and you understand what you're writing down. You understand the things that you believe are truly authentic to you. I have an actionable step here for you for this one first habit, step, priority, principle, whatever you want to call it. This actionable step involves journaling as well. I want you to journal about something which you've been deliberately ignoring. This is the actionable step. I want you right now to take out a piece of paper, even take out your journal if you already have one, preferably. Take your journal and write down. You don't even have to write a lot, but at least you have to address the problem itself. At least address the thing that you've been deliberately ignoring. This is how you gain self-awareness. This is how you become self-aware over who you are, over what you're feeling. When you deliberately journal about something that you ignore, that's when you truly understand your thoughts. Because again, we always try to seek convenient distractions and stimulations. And when we actively go against that, we seek the opposite. Something that we don't like, something that might seem painful and bad to us that we've been deliberately ignoring for such a long time. And you actually let that come in your house. And you actually sit down and you talk to that thing. By writing it down, you actually invite that thought in your brain. You actually invite it. And that will bring you a lot of growth. That will bring you a lot of awareness over your actual thoughts and beliefs and how you behave on a day-to-day basis. The second principle, habit, whatever you want to call it, is meditation. Meditating helps clear the mind. That's basically what you hear everybody tell you, but you don't really understand how, right? It lets a person be alone with their environment and their deepest thoughts. By you just spending maybe 10 minutes, that's what I usually do, 10 minutes just meditating. By the end of those 10 minutes, you will have exhausted every single thought that could be in your mind. Or maybe the majority of them, and you'll just be left with the deepest ones, the ones that are truly lingering. Those will be the thoughts that you really need to pay attention to. That you really need to address, that you could journal about. Or meditate more on. But most of the time, by the end of those 10 minutes, my mind is blank. Because it means that by the end of those 10 minutes, there's nothing in my mind that is important to me that persists for so long that I think it deserves to be really, really intensely thought upon. And yet sometimes I have things that I really, really think are important to me, and I meditate, and I just cannot seem to get them out of my mind no matter how much I try to concentrate on my breath and on my breath work, on the way that my body feels. And by the end of those 10 minutes, I think about that thought, and I actually start to analyze it more, and I start to pay more attention to it. I start to take it more seriously. Meditating helps you reach a better understanding over your body's and your mind's states. When you're meditating, you will realize that you are so in touch with your body, especially when you've been doing it consistently for a while. You'll realize that you start to literally almost hear your own heartbeat. You'll actually just start to feel your stomach, if you've eaten something, or if you haven't eaten something, you'll just start to feel it just kind of doing something. It's very weird. You'll feel your lungs. You'll feel your insides. You'll feel your body state. You'll realize every single little thing, every single prick on your bed that's actually just making you itch a little bit. You feel every single little thing. And that is a big step towards physical self-awareness. That is a big step towards that. And on the mental side, you start to realize that your mind doesn't always have to be filled with thoughts. Sometimes you will it can actually just be filled with no thoughts at certain points, or just simply one thought. And you can actually think more about that, and you can actually determine more about that thought. You'll realize that your mind is more capable than you think, but you actually just have to train it. It is just like your body right now. You have to train your body. That is the only way that you will make it more capable. And the same with your mind. You have to train your mind, and that's the only way it becomes more capable. That's why meditation is also a practice it's a practice that you have to build. You won't feel all the things that I've told you. You might not feel your heartbeat in your insides. You might not feel as if you're completely detached from the world when you're meditating, when you've ended that session by meditating 1 minute every 2 days. No, by meditating 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night, every single day. And that, I believe this is what has been, along maybe with exercising, has been one of perhaps the both most consistent habits that I've done throughout the past months, throughout the past 6, 7, 8 months of my life. And it shows. It helps you, meditation helps you determine whether you're true to yourself or not. Because once you're building this mental awareness, you're building this sense of control of your own mind. You realize that sometimes you get to actually, you understand what's going on in your mind, and you're very mindful about it. Once you start being in an active environment around other people, or you're just by yourself and you're doing something, you realize that you'll be more capable of understanding whether you're actually being authentic or you're being true to yourself or not. When you're in a social environment of any sorts, this is something that's been first-hand proof for me. I started meditating for several months by this point, a while back, maybe at the start of 2023. And I go to school every day, and I realize that to some extent, at some points, I just understand as I'm doing certain things, I realize that I'm faking a lot of my behavior. I realize that I'm laughing at a bunch of stupid jokes. I realize that I'm making a bunch of stupid jokes. I realize that I'm saying a bunch of things that they're not me. Things that I would just not think about if it weren't for the people in the room right now. And I've realized those things is because I started being more and more aware of, more mindful of my mind through meditating, through journaling, but most importantly through meditation. Journaling is great as well, I've mentioned why, but meditation in this sense helped me actually understand the close second by second process going on in my mind, the thought process that was going on second by second in my mind. Meditation is great for that. Journaling is better for long-term thinking, and meditation is really good for short-term thinking as well. It is useful when you have to control your emotions. Whenever you feel as if your emotions are surging up within you, that's when it's because of that mindfulness, isn't it? It all comes down to that mindfulness when it's meditation. By you being mindful of what's going on around you, you will also be mindful of your emotions surging up. Whenever you feel very, very pissed off at somebody or at yourself and you're about to do something stupid. When you're about to say something stupid, or when you feel some source of any kind of emotion which you know is not good, or even if it's bad, very bad, or even if it's a good emotion, you will realize, you'll be so mindful of them that you'll understand, you'll go for this thought process in your mind. Will you ask yourself, should I really let this emotion surge within me and actually take control of me, or should I not? There's plenty of times in which being happy is something that you should let happen. That's something that you should let take control of you. When you're with loved ones, when you're in all these kinds of situations, being happy is an amazing thing. But there's probably certain times where being happy, you should dim them down and you should focus on other things. Maybe when you're very focused on the short term and you're very happy about it and everything, maybe you can actually think about the long term as well. You can suppress some of that excitement and happiness to actually realize that I need to really actually just take this in and enjoy this, because maybe it's not going to happen in the next while. This is something that I've done myself, especially with anger, with frustration, with jealousy, with pity, with misery. Whenever I feel those things I used to feel those things to a great extent. Sometimes I would get so pissed off, I just start crying over them. I get so angry and so frustrated about something, so jealous about something, and I let those things just overwhelm me to the point where I just felt as if I could not take it anymore and just start crying. But now, in the past, God knows how many months, I've been capable of, through meditation, I've been capable of realizing when those emotions are arising, and I'm capable of controlling them, keeping them in check, not letting them get to me. Not letting them make me do stupid, irrational decisions. And that's why meditation is great when you're in a leadership position. I have an actionable step here for you as well, and you can kind of guess what this is when it's in regards to meditation. I want you to set a timer on your phone for 1 minute, 60 seconds, right? And I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to focus on your breath. Timer on your phone for 1 minute, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. Deep breaths. Deep inhales, deep exhales. And just focus on your breath. Try to take out everything else from your mind and understand that even when it is I think it's pretty much impossible to not have any kind of thoughts at all times in your mind. And so you will have some sort of thoughts sometimes coming in. But by you taking your focus away from those thoughts and focusing back on your breath again, and when the thoughts come back again, you take your focus away from those thoughts and you focus again on your breath for the duration of 1 minute at first for this actionable step. This is how you do meditation. This is meditation. It's not some fucking wishy-washy shit. It's literally just you focusing on one aspect of your environment, of yourself, and just trying to focus on that as best as possible, even with distractions around you. That's literally it. The third habit, the third principle that will bring you self-awareness is spending more time alone with your thoughts. It's this simple. And I don't mean meditation, I don't mean journaling. Those are two separate things, right? The third principle, habit, is just simply spending more time alone with your own thoughts. Simply trying to chase this sense of boredom, this sense of dread that you don't like, that, oh my God, I'm on my own and I'm just doing it. Chase that. Start spending more and more time every day. Whenever you don't have anything to do, or whenever you feel like you're just doing a bunch of useless things, take them away. Take away all your fucking distractions and just spend time thinking. Spend time just thinking about things. Just let your mind wander to all the fucking lengths and distances and hills and heights that it wants to go on. Don't limit it. Periods of self-reflection, I cannot speak. Excuse that. Periods of self-reflection are what change a man's life. Periods in which you self-reflect are the periods in which you will have the most growth. For me, those are the periods in which I've grown the most in my life. It's the periods in which I've determined my true, authentic desires for myself. Those are the periods of my life where I've determined that I have to go on self-improvement, that I have to change my life. It's in times where I've spent not just doing nothing but just self-reflecting. Just looking back on the things that are painful, that I don't want to think about, and just forcing myself to think about them. Forcing myself to going back in maybe an uncomfortable situation, in some thoughts that I would rather not think about. But if I know that they are important, if I know that they will bring me growth, then I will think about them. That's the importance. Understanding your mind is what makes you different from a degenerate. You being capable of understanding your mind. You being capable of understanding the thoughts and the beliefs and the opinions that you have about the world, which are yours. Which are authentically yours. That makes you different than some random fucking guy that goes to a party. that just tops down 2 beers in less than 2 minutes. That's what makes you different than all the fucking degenerates out there fucking in club bathrooms, in dirty club bathrooms, getting girls pregnant, doing drugs, going out at night, in the middle of the night, doing nothing, wasting time. You understanding your mind is what keeps you away from that. Those people, this is exactly, that is literally what they're doing. They're escaping their mind. They're escaping the process of actually having to understand yourself and truly understand yourself. You know, they might argue that, you know, but this is actually how I find myself, and this is how I find a spiritual. This is how I have my spiritual awakenings, by doing weed, smoking weed on the beach, bro. By getting drunk in a fucking sticky, bullshitty fucking club. You can tell that they're fucking joking. You can tell that they are a joke. Understanding your mind was what makes you different from a degenerate, man. Time spent alone, without distractions, is what builds a man strong. You know, if I were to go for my self-improvement journey at the start, without being alone with my own thoughts, without being away from distractions, I wouldn't be here. If I weren't to go through that, I wouldn't be here today. I would probably just quit self-improvement, or I would have been one of those guys telling everybody that self-improvement is masturbation, that I tried it, that it didn't work. It's because you still have fucking distractions. All the dumbasses who tell you that, oh, I've been mentally masturbating and I've been doing this and self-improvement, just mental masturbation, they're still playing video games. They're still watching fucking shows. They're still reading fiction novels, which are they're pointless, right? There's certain fiction novels by great authors out there which have amazing stories in them, which are very, very meaningful. But there's fucking certain fiction novels, right? Like erotic fucking novels that girls read, right? Like, what the fuck is the point in reading that, man? What is the point in reading like this crazy love book with this guy Dylan who goes and talks to this girl Jessica in Beverly Hills or whatever the fuck? Like, what is the point in reading some bullshit fiction book or watching some bullshit fiction movie? What is the point in watching some bullshit shows? What is the point in all of these fucking distractions? What is the point in watching TV? What is the point in eating junk food? What is the point in going out to parties and wasting your fucking life away? Consistently escaping your own mind. Up until one day it just punches you from the back and you cannot get back up. And you wonder why, and you realize that because all of this time you've placed this burden on your back. All of these things which have slowed you so bad, they have such a huge pressure on you. All these lies that you just put on yourself. And when somebody just does this from the back, you fall and you fucking crumble. Like a weakling, man. Take more occasions every single day to simply do nothing but think. Take more occasions whenever you feel like, oh man, I'd rather just pick up my phone right now and just look at this really thing because it's really useful for my self-improvement. Trust me, please trust me. Shut the fuck up. Toss that phone away. Toss that fucking phone away and be with your own thoughts. If you cannot be capable of simply being alone with your own thoughts, you're a little bitch. If you cannot think about painful things in your life, you're a little bitch. Then I have no respect for you. I literally hope that you unsubscribe from my channel, dislike the video, do whatever, and get the fuck out. I'm gonna be really curious and see how many people unsubscribe from my channel and dislike the video from now on, because I'll see that those are the fucking pussies who are scared of thinking. Only cowards run away from their minds. And we are not cowards. If we want to do self-improvement, if we want to be here and live good lives, then we cannot afford to be cowards. Cowardice is a fucking sin. It's wrong. It's horrible to do. It is miserable. Only miserable people hide away in cowardice and mindless distractions. Real men fucking face their problems. They face the hardship in their life. Even when it's something that they would rather fucking kill themselves instead of thinking about. You think about that, bitch. You think about that, you get solutions and you work towards fixing that problem. Because we're not fucking cowards. I have an actionable step here for you for this last principle. I want you to spend 15 minutes after watching this video. I want you 15 minutes, right? Exactly as that study. And let's see if you're better than that majority of those 67% of men and that 25% of women who would rather fucking get an electrical shock instead of just spending 15 minutes thinking. I want to see if you're better than those fucking dumbasses. College students. Grown adults. I want you to spend 15 minutes after this video to simply sit and think with no distractions. That's it. 15 minutes, do nothing but simply sit and stare at your fucking wall. Sit and stare at your damn wall for 15 minutes. If you don't do it, then you are as bad as those 67% of men. Imagine that the majority of those people, hundreds of people took part in a study, and 67% of them would rather electrically shock themselves than spend 15 minutes in solitude and silence. How fucked up is that, man? Self-awareness is not simply achieved. It is not something that you can just simply get in 1-2 days in a week. It is a journey that you go on throughout your life. But don't let this discourage you, because it is a beautiful thing to go through. It is an absolutely amazing process to go through. And again, it's just like the gym. The first gains that you'll get, the first periods in which you realize that you're actually more self-aware, it might be a bit painful at first, as it is when you're starting the gym. It might feel painful at first. But once you move past that initial 1-2 weeks of consistent training, you start getting the hang of it. You start actually liking the process more and more. And you start realizing that you're actually getting something out of this. And you keep doing it, it's fucking amazing. And it's the same with self-awareness. It might be very painful at first for some people, and maybe less painful for some others, to realize what is actually going on in their lives and to actually start fixing that. To actually start fixing the idea that you have a fucking screen addiction. That every single time you sit on anywhere and you just look at a wall for 2 seconds, you get the impulse to just pick up your phone and fucking stare at it like a fucking monkey. It's painful for some people to live through the idea, the realization that they are addicted to video games, that they are simply addicted, that they are not capable of looking a girl in the eye, that they're level 100 on War Thunder, that they're level 100 on War Thunder with 5,000 hours into it, with all the tanks and all the planes and all the tree and all the fucking things that you want. But you cannot look a girl in the eye. That was me, by the way. That was a self-imposed example. I was level 100 on War Thunder, which is the highest level that you can get to. And guess what? I had thousands and thousands of hours in that game. I had been playing that game for years. 6 hours a day. I had a bunch of tanks. I had a bunch of planes that people would only dream about. Dream at night. Simply fucking spend thousands and thousands of dollars. I didn't spend a single cent in that game, which I'm still somewhat proud of. I didn't spend a single cent, a single dollar in that game, while people were throwing their fucking monthly salaries as grown adults in that game. I did not do it. And yet that made me spend thousands and thousands of hours wasting away like a fucking maniac. It's only now that I've realized, it's only now and a year and a half ago when I came to the conclusion that I've wasted so much of my life. And it was a painful realization to go through. Like, how painful it is to know that you've wasted almost an entire year just, and I mean just playing video games. Like, if you were to play video games for more than 10 months, continuously, 24 hours continuously, that would have been my playtime. And people have even more playtime than I did. Years wasted. It can be painful, but once you get past that initial realization and you take some fucking action, you avoid more pain in the fucking future. You avoid looking back and seeing 20,000 hours instead of 10,000. Instead of 100 hours spent watching a show, I don't know, whatever, you keep rewatching it or whatever, or 100 movies watched, you don't look back at 200 and think to yourself, fuck me, I'm a failure. If you stop now, it's 10 times better than it is to keep going for another period of time. A life with self-awareness, and this is how I'm going to close this video up. A life with self-awareness is a beautiful life. Don't think otherwise. A life lived in self-awareness, a life lived with the beauty of being aware of your own thoughts, aware of your own actions, being in control of yourself, is beautiful. Don't think otherwise, man. I hope this video helped you out, bro, because I try to make it as meaningful as possible, because I know just how much it means to me and to other people. I wish that my younger self, I wish that younger Cosmin would have had a video like this pop up on his recommended feed, telling him that he needs to be self-aware. If I would have been self-aware 1 year earlier, I would have been fucking jacked. That would have been amazing right now. I hope this is the case for you, man. Good luck. I'll see you later, man.